So we have seen technology providers evolving, we have seen different solution providers scaling up the solutions itself, and we have seen, of course, the third part of the puzzle, basically all the owners and end users showing much more appetite, for these solutions. Very importantly, what we have also seen is that a lot of these solution providers have started to talk to each other. They have started to bring a lot of integrated solutions. They have started to talk about a number of use cases, which actually is helping owners to solve the problems of today. And with the growing number of use cases with integrated solutions, actually end users see far more benefits, from the IoT solutions of today, what they have seen 3 to 5 years back. There is a commercial viability of it, there is an improved ROI situations, there is of course scalability aspects. So all those elements which typically in some sense were a limiting factors for an end user to choose for an IoT solutions have started to actually play out in a much more favorable way in today's world versus it was a few years back. So hence, of course, we see that there is a far more appetite and far more growth potential in IoT going forward. I think any IoT solution, whether being considered in a private or in a public sector, should at least come with an approach where they have to be very careful and mindful that the IoT solution of today is still evolving. It's not totally evolved yet. It is still evolving and it will continue to evolve for the next few years. So the approach here has to be that you define a problem, you look for solutions, you look for not just a solution provider, but you look for an ecosystem, because seldom you would have one provider who can solve it all, So you need to, of course, look at an option of working with different players. But very important is all these different players are open and are willing to integrate and connect to different players in order to actually give the most leverage of a system towards the end user's needs. And that's why it's very important that all the systems and all those IoT solutions offered are with open APIs, where one system can talk to the other system and making sure it starts to give a real compelling use case. Now, the use cases of today will still further evolve in near future, So as long as the choices made by the end user, the solution providers, are mindful that the solutions of today are in some sense open and scalable, and that will also help in some sense to make these IoT solutions future proof for the end users in the times to come. We see fairly strong growth in the IoT sector at this moment, especially in the mature economies. Singapore, of course, is one of the markets which is in the leading position, but we also see Greater China being also one of the markets where we see a lot of IoT deployments. We see in South Korea, for example. We also see in the ASEAN region, we see things in Malaysia, Indonesia, and things like that. So there's a lot of traction which at this moment is building up in various different application segments in the IoT. So as an industry practitioner, I would say there is a strong appetite at this moment among different stakeholders, be it private or public, which actually suggest a strong growth in the IoT sector in the times to come. We see particularly a lot of interest in the utility sector. So we see a lot of utilities, municipalities, townships basically taking some efforts towards, of course, a larger ambition of smart city or smart nation initiatives. At the same time, we see a lot of appetite in the building spaces. We see with, of course, driven, of course, a lot by the sustainability agenda of various large developers, but also a lot of multinationals who actually, uses these large building spaces for their offices and other purposes, also driving and pushing the envelope and actually pushing the various different stakeholders to go for very compelling IoT solutions in terms of driving efficiency improvement, sustainability, and of course ensuring the productivity and well-being of the people who work in the buildings.
We're done basically. Yeah. I just wanted to ask you, and this is your call to ask. Sure. Should ROI be part of justifying?
I think very, very important, because I personally feel an ROI angle is becoming a very important element decision making among the various stakeholders. Now, a lot of people want to do it. A lot of people are having a fancy to at least test it, but somehow I have seen in the applications where the ROIs have started to look better, people have a much more, I would say, drive towards scaling that up from a typical POC to a real deployments. But in the applications where we don't see an ROI story as compelling as needed, we don't see things taking off. So I have seen a lot of deployments in Singapore where we have managed to, of course, do POCs, but only few where the ROI story is compelling scaling up.